Wednesday. Former President Donald Trump continues to dominate the Republican primary field. We've been showing you the new polls all week, despite 4 indictments against him and the campaigning much less he is than his Republican rivals. Joining us now, former Treasury official, Morning Joe economic analyst Steve Rattner, with some data on one theory behind Trump's seemingly unbreakable support. Steve, good morning. So we'll start with your first chart. Decades of ideological sorting may have brought us here.
Yes, Willie. I think one theory about why Republicans are sticking so closely to Trump is a kind of idea of tribalism. And the Wall Street Journal had an interesting analysis of this the other day. And so let's take a look at what's been happening among party members in the various parties over the last several decades, because this is actually a long-run phenomenon. But if you go back to the late 1970s, you can see that only about 30% of Republicans identified themselves as conservative, and almost 20% of Democrats identified themselves as conservative. And then if you fast forward over those decades, you can see what's happened. And we all, I think, probably intuitively thought this is where we are now. Maybe we didn't think about where we were then. But you can see that now about 60% of Republicans call themselves conservative, and only about 5% of Democrats call themselves conservatives. When you talk, everything I just said is about liberals. I apologize. When you talk about conservatives, you see a similar trend. You can see that back in the 1970s, less than 50% of Republicans considered themselves conservative. Today, over 70% do. And the same thing, the reverse has happened with Democrats. Almost 30% considered themselves conservative back then. And today, that number is down to just 10%. So you can see that basically on an ideological basis, Americans have kind of gone into their corners.
Yeah, you know, another really surprising development. And we can't put this just down to Trump. It's something that I noticed even in my races back in the 1990s. Republicans were supposed to win well-to-do, suburban sort of country club types, and Democrats were supposed to win working-class voters. I noticed in our crosstabs and looking at the districts after we won that I did extremely well among in the blue collar areas. And what we're seeing now is a continuation of that sorting pretty dramatically now, where Republicans are still making gains among working class voters, but they're losing an awful lot of suburban voters. And the breakdown seems to come, Steve, more than race, more than income, more than anything, on education, as far as what's the last year of their educational status. Are they high school grads? Are they college grads? Are they post grads? And boy, there's a real sorting there, isn't there?
Yeah, Joe, we talked about ideological sorting. Let's talk about educational sorting. And we all talk a lot about how non-college educated whites have moved toward Trump. There's a lot of truth to that, but there's actually a longer run phenomenon here. Let's start with whites with college degrees. And you can see, as you would have imagined back in 1990, 55% of whites with college degrees identified themselves as Republicans, and only about 40% of Democrats identified themselves with college degrees as Democrats. And so then you can see the percentage of people with whites with college degrees who are identified as Democrats goes up, and the percentage of Republicans with college degrees goes down. And so we've had this flip, and you can see here it did happen a little bit faster during the Trump period, when whites with college degrees moved more to Democrats and away from Republicans. And then you can see that if you look at whites without college degrees, the so-called working class whites that we talk a lot about, they were actually surprisingly evenly divided between the two parties until about 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. And then you started to have this shift that we've all talked so much about, where whites without college degrees moved into the Republican Party and out of the Democratic Party.
And that really shows up in support for Donald Trump in almost every poll we look at. And Steve, as we move to your third chart, get to the personal, which is that somewhere along the way, our political leaders started to tell us that the other side wasn't just wrong, but that it was evil, that they were enemies. And that shows up here as well.
So under the theory, one consequence is that as people have moved into their corners, they move further away from each other and become more hostile to each other. And these numbers are actually really incredibly dramatic and actually incredibly depressing when you think about it. So if, again, you go back to the early 1990s, you can see that members of both parties most of them did not view the other party unfavorably. Only a small percentage viewed the party unfavorably. 20 to 30% for Democrats, about 10% for Republicans. And then you can see this extraordinary climb up here to where now between 50 and 60% of both parties view the other side extremely unfavorably. And so this is a lot of the hostility. And then if you look at some other kinds of questions, is the other party closed-minded? Is it dishonest? Is it unintelligent? If you look even at immoral, if you look at lazy, you would find significant increases over this time period on both sides in terms of how they view the other party. So this is part of why I think we're in this period of unbelievable partisan hostility, and also why, as they move into their corners, each party tends to protect its own, and in this case, Donald Trump.
Well, by the way, let's look at partisan animosity, and let's just go through the years there, Steve. Let's zoom in on those years, and you look, 1994, Democrats, the animosity doubles, nearly doubles. That's when Gingrich and people like me came into Congress. That's the first time Republicans controlled the House of Representatives in 40 years. Went down a little bit in 98, but then you had impeachments ticking up. You had George W. Bush, the Iraq War in 2003 continues to spike up. 2006, you had Hurricane Katrina. I had the Iraq War melting down. That continued. Goes down a little bit at the beginning of Barack Obama's term, but then just keeps going up.
Yeah, you can see the Obama impact here. And then, of course, here you can see the Trump years and a huge jump in animosity between the two parties. And so, yeah, Joe, you've, I think, identified a lot of the key drivers of this over this long period of time.
Well, and I just want to say, you look at the Obama years, it's really those Obama years from 2009 to early 2017, not really any more dramatic than the spikes that we see in fact, it goes down at some point in the late 90s, then starts going up really, So, yeah, it's just this, it seems like this steady climb for conservatives and their animosity. Of course, the Democrats spiking pretty high during the Bush years.
Yeah, it's on both sides, as you can see. The lines are very close. But again, as people have moved into their corners, they tend to be unbelievably hostile to the other side. And then again, some of these personal qualities, to call the other side closed-minded, dishonest, unintelligent, lazy, immoral, those are pretty strong words for a very substantial percentage of each party to think about the other side.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Steve Rattner at the big board. Is that what we call it? Do we call it the big board, the green monster? What do we call it, Willie? Is it?
That's the Southwest Wall.
The Southwest Wall.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, okay. So Steve Rattner at the Southwest Wall, as always. Thanks so much, Steve. Greatly appreciate it.